It was 4 to 16 or mental health court.
Tammy Elizabeth Verona first arrived in the mental health court program after getting arrested for a drug charge. She says she has spent her entire adult life in and out of prison.
Let's try mental health court, because prison obviously didn't work.
After 10 months in the program, working with her team, she was diagnosed with PTSD and manic depression with acute stress disorder. She says just having a diagnosis helped her.
It was like an elephant went off my back. Like I wasn't crazy.
In mental health court, a judge, probation officer, and medical staff set a personalized plan for each person. 55th District Court Judge Tom Boyd believes in this program.
Because of the extra support we receive from the state government to run this program, we can bring to bear an interdisciplinary team of experts.
The investment for fiscal year 2019, nearly $5.2 million, which he says saves taxpayers money because the offender is not spending time in a jail cell.
It's a drop in the bucket and an investment well worth being made.
According to the State Supreme Court fiscal year 2017 report, 625 offenders were admitted into the program statewide. 52% graduated successfully. Michigan Supreme Court Justice Elizabeth Clement is the liaison to these problem-solving court systems and says this program has proven results.
The numbers show that they are 2 times less likely to reoffend and re-enter the criminal justice system.
And that report also shows unemployment rates were cut in half after participants finished with the program. Tammy says she has not been arrested since finishing her plan and hopes other people take part.
Mental health court not only saved me, but I tell people about it because I think it's really good for our prison system, our jails. I don't believe that these people belong in this institution.
In Lansing, Mikenize Frost, News Channel 3. The new health assessment launched by the state of Michigan looking to find a relationship between PFAS exposure and high levels of the chemicals in the bloodstream. At a roughly $1 million price tag, this assessment will test about 800 people's blood and drinking water in their homes.
Our hypothesis that's being tested is there will be a higher level of PFAS in the blood of this community in comparison to an average United States community.
Dr. Eden Wells, Chief Medical Executive with the Department of Health and Human Services, explains the findings of this assessment could lead to an actual health study.
In other words, we know there's been a very significant exposure to where we could see any associations of any particular health outcomes.
The catch? It's only happening in Kent County.
Because no other area in Michigan, frankly, has had so many wells exceeding the advisory level.
More than 30 other sites in the state are being investigated for PFAS, like people living near the Wurtsmith Air Force Base in Oscoda, dealing with these chemicals for years.
That is a slightly different area because it's operated by the Department of Defense. I can't make the promises. There's many other issues, and we're also working with our federal partners on that.
But in Kent County, only people who get letters in the mail will be able to participate. Those letters will be going out to homes with PFAS levels higher than 70 parts per trillion, the advisory issued by the EPA, and some with lower amounts as well.
Those who have tested 70 parts per higher and above, and those that have tested below 70 but are detectable, because we need power or strength in that study so that our findings will be strong, robust.
2019 brings a new year and a new governor for the state of Michigan. Gretchen Whitmer taking the oath of office on stage on a pretty chilly first day of the year in front of supporters ready to see her take action. A cold, windy January 1st did not stop hundreds of people from flocking to the Capitol lawn.
Who were voted for to get inaugurated and to have this piece of history.
To watch the inauguration of the 49th governor.
The duties of the office of governor.
The duties of the office of governor.
Gretchen Whitmer, the second female leader in Michigan's history, joined on stage by the first former governor, Jennifer Granholm, topping the ticket for Democrats and women, a point not lost on a Flint area dad who brought his young daughter.
For my daughter, she's 3 years old, and my son, he's 6, to see a woman elected governor of Michigan.
During her address, Whitmer hit her message hard.
None of us can afford to compromise Michigan's economic future because we won't compromise with one another.
Not shying away from the fact she'll be working with a Republican-controlled legislature.
Divided government might make solving problems harder, but not impossible.
And telling the crowd why she's proud of her state.
And we owe it to the people we serve to cast partisanship aside.
Whitmer's statewide partners, Attorney General Dana Nessel and Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson, getting sworn in too.
The duties and responsibilities of the Attorney General to the Secretary of State of the great state of Michigan.
Nessel, the first openly gay Attorney General in the country, taking the oath with her wife by her side.
We are all Michiganders, and we are all entitled to equal protection under the law.
And Benson promising more transparency and election security across the state.
It is a new day for democracy here in the state of Michigan.
After the cannons echoed through the Capitol and a quick flyover, Whitmer leaving the state with hope as she begins her new journey.
Bridges between parties and bridges to a brighter future for every one of us. Let's get to work, Michigan. Thank you.
Throughout her inauguration speech, Gretchen Whitmer talked a lot about building bridges and bipartisanship. Those two things we'll be keeping an eye on as the legislature begins next week and Whitmer kicks off what will be her first term in office. Reporting from Lansing, Mikenize Frost, back to you. Bitter temperatures did not stop Governor Gretchen Whitmer from stopping by the Allen Neighborhood Center in Lansing, helping make signs for the upcoming farmers markets, but her message of service goes beyond just the day. With 800,000 federal workers not being paid during this shutdown, the governor wants change in unemployment benefits.
A simple change in interpretation would give us the ability to help these essential workers.
Whitmer sent a letter to the Department of Labor Secretary asking if Michigan can provide benefits for the thousands of federal workers in the state who have been furloughed during the shutdown.
These are people who are showing up to work every single day and keeping us safe. And I am precluded from making sure that we extend unemployment benefits to them, and that's wrong.
During a luncheon to honor Dr. King,
can't you just imagine what he would be saying?
Michigan's junior Senator Gary Peters says federal workers should not be held responsible for conversations not taking place in Congress.
It's unacceptable to have a government shutdown while we are having a policy debate.
As the shutdown crosses the 1-month mark, President Donald Trump offered a plan over the weekend and includes a deal for temporary immigration protections in exchange for his $5.7 billion border wall. Democratic leaders swiftly rejected the plan. Peters, the ranking Democrat on the Senate Homeland Security Committee, says border security is not about a wall. He adds the president needs to open the government, and Martin Luther King Day is the perfect day for a reminder.
So we're celebrating here, Dr. Martin Luther King, who would stand up and do the right thing. It's time for the president to learn a lesson from Martin Luther King.
Following the president's speech Saturday, GOP Congressman Bill Huizenga of Zeeland applauded the proposal and urged House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, as well as other Democrats, to come to the table for a conversation. The Emergency Board of Trustees meeting called to accomplish one thing.
I move that the Board of Trustees of Michigan State University hereby accepts John M. Engler's resignation.
Chair of the board, Diane Byram, naming MSU Vice President of Administrative Services, Satish Utpa, as interim president.
I recognize it's a challenge, but at the end of the day, this is the job that needs to get done. We can't continue to operate the way we have been for the past 2 years.
This move comes after Engler made comments about survivors of Larry Nassar's sexual abuse.
The ill-advised, insensitive, hurtful, and harmful comments that John Engler has made on more than one occasion continues to set us backward.
The announcement bringing out emotion.
To the survivors and your families and this community, we hear you and we're listening, and we are sorry it took so long.
In Engler's resignation letter, he called the move political, pointing to a shift in majority after 2 Democrats won the November election. The board quickly countered.
Tone, empathy, compassion, those are all bipartisan issues, so this notion that it's partisan is a joke.
Even Vice Chair Dan Kelly, a Republican, rejected the idea.
It's not a partisan issue. The comments were insensitive. I don't think anyone on the board agreed with the comments.
Engler's letter says he would resign next week. Byram moving that date to now.
And it was time to make the break immediately with John Engler.
As for the new leader, Utpa has one goal.
Create an environment on this campus that makes them whole. That's the single most important priority for me.
In hopes of bringing the green and white out of their dark past.